Hello, you are listening to the Retail Journey podcast. Today, a special guest, Meritt Brothers, and we're talking about the Omni-Channel road. Focused on Walmart, a little bit of Sam's Club. It's going to be a really good episode today as we break it apart, help you understand how to travel that road. There's some twists and turns, a couple of potholes, but we're here to guide you.
Absolutely. And welcome everybody to the Retail Journey podcast presented by High Impact. I'm James Harris, CEO and founder of High Impact, and this is Charles Greathouse, Chief Growth Officer. And we are excited to continue down the retail journey today. Welcome, Merrit.
Thank you for having me.
Woo. How's it going?
Great. Happy Friday.
Happy Friday. Why don't you tell us a little bit about yourself?
Well, I have been in kind of Walmart world for 20 years, and I started on the agency side and spent about 10 years with P&G, Unilever, and Walmart.com, and then moved over to the supplier side with Clorox, and I did that for 10 years and managed their e-com business. So I started their Walmart.com team and grew that, and then really started to establish what were the processes and skills necessary to run an omni business.
Awesome. And when did you really move into omni, or what would have originally been e-com?
Oh, I would say early. I mean, I remember probably 18 years ago starting to do programs with Walmart.com. And back then you would just upload your print ad to the site.
Oh, yeah.
You might create games. Like we had some cascade games where you would shoot dish detergent at plates to try to drive engagement and dwell time on the site, but you couldn't buy anything on the site.
So basically, you were working e-com before anybody was on the Walmart.com website.
That's pretty much true. Yeah.
Going way back.
Yeah. I mean, I've been doing it long enough that people thought I was crazy for the majority of time. So, why would you waste your time there? You should be thinking about brick and mortar and
Right.
kind of.
And now everybody knows that this is the dance.
Everyone knows.
Nobody's not omni.
Yeah.
Like omni is retail.
Yeah, it went from this like thing that some people do but doesn't produce anything to this thing that you have to do to play with Walmart.
That's right.
To now this thing that drives your business.
Yeah. I mean, if you're in store, you're going to have an item page online, and if there's some sort of issue with your item page online, the shopper's not going to know that you exist in store. They'll assume that you don't. And that's really where you have to be, because they're going to be on their phone, they're going to be on the app, and if you don't exist there, then you don't exist in the store either.
Right.
That's fun. And at Walmart, the Omni-Channel road starts with setting up an item. You literally cannot set up an item without setting up an item page. Doesn't mean you set up the item page well. You could set up a very bad item page, but you have to do it.
And I mean, that is a key point too. It might seem like something small and you think you can skip some steps, like maybe you don't have to input all the attributes because it's a lot of work.
Yeah.
But when you don't do that, then your item isn't discoverable. And so if you pick something wrong there, when the shopper goes to search for your category or branded terms, like you won't show up if you didn't really nail that first step.
So if you want customers to discover your product,
if they want to know you exist,
feels like that's going to be pretty
somewhat
common.
relevant.
Yeah, no, it's absolutely critical. So you end up in that sort of common thread of, all right, you're making it onto the modular. You got to get items created by this date, which is very true. You have to get it done.
Yeah.
But that item created also means your item page is getting set up and that foundation's getting built. Any common pitfalls you see there?
Yes. I mean, one of them being the supplier not knowing how to properly set up their item and identifying all the right attributes. Also thinking that they can just kind of breeze through that part and come back later and fix it. That will cause you a lot more stress and time, because then you have to submit tickets. If you did it right the first time, like, you're going to save yourself a lot of hassle. Also, content. Like, That is huge. I know everyone talks about content, but you have to not only meet the Walmart standards, but you have to be delivering something that helps drive conversion. And most importantly, the shopper needs to understand why they should buy your product over anyone else's. And they're going to get that from your content. So it's not just something that you need to check the box on. You need to look at it as if you were a buyer. And is there enough information here that if they didn't go in store, they're going to add to their cart?
Yeah. Yeah, the unlimited shelf space for signage, if you would, with an item
true.
page online.
Yeah.
So what are some common misconceptions around omni-channel?
Well, I think first it's important to make sure that we define omni-channel, because sometimes people will use it as a term like to mean e-com instead of what it actually is, which is an umbrella term to mean anything that's going on in brick and mortar as well as online. That's building your overall omni-channel strategy. So I think that's a really important place for everyone to start and have an understanding.
It's not e-commerce.
It is not e-commerce.
It's e-commerce plus.
Yeah, they're not synonyms. And then the other piece is that every supplier needs an omni strategy. Like you need to have it for your shopper. You need to have it to be able to discuss with your merchant. How you're going to set up your items online, what that assortment's going to look like. If you're going to do anything different on 1P versus marketplace, what your search and display strategy is going to be, so how you're going to support your overall Walmart business. It doesn't matter who you are, you need to have an omni strategy. You have to think about it from that mindset. And oftentimes, suppliers might get in trouble because maybe they've been working really with a pure play e-tailer and don't understand that there's a big difference once you go to brick and mortar and a brick and click. When you go to an omni retailer, where there are implications with what you do in store and how it shows up online and vice versa.
Yeah, I've seen that. A lot of words. We've got brick and click, e-tailer. There's like an omni-channel bingo that goes on if you've been around it long enough.
That's true.
Is it the same at all retailers? Or are you thinking about Walmart in your mind? How are things different in the club? If you're coming to Sam's Club and you're thinking about omni-channel retail, does it show up the same way? Do you still need an omni-channel strategy? Or what are some of the things you've seen work really well?
Well, you for sure need an omni-channel strategy because, Sam's did an outstanding job through COVID. They were testing and learning and rolling out what was it called? Where they would have their club associates go in.
Scan and something?
Scan and go?
That still exists today, but
Click and
they
collect?
tested out, basically where they would go shop for the club member and bring it out to their car. Concierge, maybe?
Yeah.
So they were testing and learning. If you go look back, they were ahead of every other brick and click, just by the sheer magnitude of all of the tactics they were testing out. And a lot of that has stuck. So, you have people using their app and adding items to cart as they're going through the club, and then they never have to get in line. And so they definitely have active members that are on the app. And the great thing about Sam's Club is that they know every single member. When you have a non-club model, you have some mapping, a large percentage at Walmart of people that are mapped based off of their Tinder or IP addresses. They triangulate all of that. Well, at Sam's, 100% of your shoppers because they're members. So that gives you really interesting capabilities when it comes to targeting and looking at the reporting that the MAP team offers and really how to evolve your programs. So I definitely think it's just as important at Sam's as it is at Walmart.
Love that. I think a lot of people forget or don't think about it the same way because the models are so different. And you've got, treasure hunts happening in store. It's also happening online. A lot of the promotional things at Sam's Club also come to life online.
Yeah.
And just love that perspective on how it really accelerated through COVID.
Well, and it's really important, we look at pulse periods for suppliers, and you need to show up when the shopper is online during those time periods. If you have summer grilling coming up, like think about what that solution is, and then maybe you don't have enough funding to have an evergreen support plan on any of these retailers, but during those key time periods or leading up to those key time periods, that's when you plus it up.
Yeah.
Right. So there's still a certain number of people in our industry that see e-com as this thing you have to do because it's required for the in-store business. But talk to us a little bit about web rooming, about how e-com strategy can drive in-store conversion and vice versa.
I'm trying to think of what the statistic is that I've seen from Walmart. I think it's like 80% of their shoppers are using their phone in store. I've seen a recent report where in the food category, it's usually 4 times while they're in store that they're pulling out their phone and using it. Yes.
Okay.
So
using it to text their friends or to research items.
They are researching items. They're
man.
going on the app while they're in store. And so that's another area where your item page and content are critical, because if they're looking at your item, then you want to be sure that you have all the information that they're looking to research in the content on your item page. And if they're looking at your competitor's item, you want to be sure that there's something on your page that's going to differentiate you from your competitor.
Yeah.
And reviews can be that decision maker, right? That can be
Absolutely. And I tell my clients, I think 35 is what the requirement of ratings and reviews per item page is. I would not want less than 50. So that's going to be very important in the shopper researching their decision, as well as helping you. It's, one of the levers that the algorithm uses to get you up the page and relevant.
Yeah.
Right.
And that 50 is daunting when the price point's really high. That it takes a while to get it. But when the price point is high, you've got a customer making a bigger decision.
Absolutely.
So it still certainly matters a lot.
Yeah.
So as somebody that lives and breathes omni, e-com, what are the big things you're focused on right now?
So marketplace is a big one. I get really excited talking about marketplace. I think we are where we were for Walmart.com 10 years ago. I mean, it's the new frontier. I know that there are a lot of suppliers that say marketplace or hear marketplace and just have a really negative reaction.
A little PTSD.
Exactly. But the reality is everyone needs to have a marketplace strategy. You can be using that to your advantage. And so if you're not already in Walmart, that is going to be your entry point. You need to understand how to set up a storefront and how to compete with other players. So educating my clients on making sure that you have a support plan or you have a budget for a support plan. We can't just set up these items or your marketplace storefront and expect to get any sales generated.
Yeah.
Because since it is an endless aisle, they'll never even know you exist.
Right.
An entry point, I think, is a really important word, because entering into Walmart's a big deal.
Yeah.
And that is the entry point. I heard a story of a brand this morning where the merchant said, let's start online and see where it goes. And it was third-party marketplace as a start. And they're launching into a much larger store count this summer because this test online went well. They had, probably 10 items online, but 2 of them stood out above the rest and are now actually coming in store. And I think that story is repeated way more often now than it was just a couple of years ago.
Absolutely.
With the e-commerce, when you think about omni-channel retail, that entry point's online, and so how you show up matters a lot.
And that's why it's so critical to make sure you're setting your storefront up for success, that your items are best in class for your item page experience, that you do have that support plan, because that's your chance. If you have had an opportunity to meet with the merchant and they've asked you to do that, you want to be sure that you are showing up in the best way and that you're driving sales, so that when you go back to that line review, you have a success story and you can show them the kind of level of support you're going to put behind your business.
Yeah.
It's one of my favorite e-com stories. Is one of our longer running clients reached out to Walmart, reached out, bad timing, merchant turnover, whatever. They didn't get a response. So they went on marketplace on their own, kind of a few years back before that was a big push. And over the course of Q4, they had a $2.5–3 million business, and the merchant started calling them.
Yeah.
So
Yes.
hey, why have we not seen this? Well, because you didn't return my email.
Yeah. And I hear stories like that all the time.
Yeah.
And so I work with a lot of people that are either trying to figure out that path or who have gotten on marketplace but really need help figuring out how to drive sales. And then I work with established suppliers who already have items in brick and mortar, and then we figure out what could the marketplace strategy be for them. And it is different by every category and by every supplier.
Yeah.
You know, maybe you can use it. The simple use case is that's how you set up your expanded assortment that you might need to test before it goes in brick and mortar. Another option is that you're using it as a testing ground for innovation. Even like different flavors and scents to see if there's any sort of interest for that with your retailer.
Right.
So there are a lot of different use cases that you can use marketplace for, and I spend quite a bit of time there.
Yeah. And GM, different colors,
Yes.
size combinations makes a lot of sense. The in-store shopping 4 times during the grocery trip, are they picking up different flavors of products online? Like,
What do you
The
mean by
actual
like
grocery
the people
shop?
who are looking
Yeah.
at their phone?
Yeah.
Like
on
if they
those
don't
trips?
have what they want in store,
I haven't seen
they order it
stats.
online.
Yeah, I'm
Is that what
curious
you're
if
asking?
they've in the grocery shopping trip. Are we seeing people in aisle looking at call it a dinner frozen meal and picking something different online? Or we've got a lot of categories where the penetration's kind of low. So you might be looking at your e-com business, wondering like, okay, it's not very big to warrant the attention. And my question is essentially pushing towards maybe that's chicken or the egg. How's your content? Do you have a strategy? What's it look like? And really, we're seeing it across every aspect of the store. So I'm just curious of what you've seen.
Well, what I would tell you first, when clients come to me and say it's a small percentage of their business, my first thought is, well, that's a problem, and you're not looking at your reporting correctly. There's also a nuance to that of you potentially don't have the reporting that you need to have the visibility to
Right.
your digitally originated sales.
Excited for Walmart Illuminate to
Yes.
bring that to light.
Yeah,
Good Walmart Illuminate pun.
that's true. That,
Light it up.
But truly, in order to be able to accurately look at your business, diagnose where there's opportunity, where there are issues, you need to be looking, if you're able to, at those fulfillment channel breakouts. And so, I mean, if someone's at 1 to 2%, there's definitely opportunity. And so I will go in and help them diagnose, like, what is the issue and then where are opportunity areas. But I mean, really, some very quick wins can be making sure that you have great content and ratings and reviews, because all of that will organically help you get up on the page, even if you don't have dollars to spend.
So is that number 1? Content, ratings, and reviews. Your
Yes.
first check. All right, so let's go top 3. What would be the second thing? They've got some content, they got ratings and reviews. They're still not seeing the...
You need to have a budget for support. I get clients that say, well, we're hoping to grow organically.
Yeah.
That was a great plan 10 or 15 years ago.
Yeah.
Like, there's no growing organically. If you look at the site, you will see all the sponsored placements.
There's millions of products on the site.
None of those suppliers that are investing are going to stop investing so you can grow organically.
Right.
You have to have a plan. There's just no way around it.
And that plan for Walmart is through what? Walmart Connect?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So as far as a budget for support, you're speaking, if you've got an item listed online, you got content and reviews, which is step 1, because you don't want to send a bunch of support money to drive customers to a page that is bad and
Absolutely
doesn't have
not.
the information that they need to make a purchase.
Then you're just burning money.
And you're burning cash. Nobody
Yeah.
really likes to do that.
Yeah.
So you've got good content, ratings, and reviews, then have a budget to drive traffic towards it.
That's right.
And Walmart Connect's the most effective for the Walmart platform. Do you do offsite as well, or is that a bit more advanced? How do you think about it for steps 1 and 2?
It just depends on the supplier's budget. I mean, it'd be great to do all of it, but more often than not, you're going to have to prioritize. And so Walmart has a ton of options now. You can go through managed services. You can do the self-serve portal. Search is definitely a place to start. And then you can start layering on display. And then, you start building out your strategy of what's on-site versus off-site, what % of your spend.
Yeah.
What's a strategy for being a top-rated seller or a top seller or a
You saying
What's
that
the
made me
term I'm
feel
looking
like we
for?
should rewind everything I said when I was listing what's the most important. Let me tell you, in stocks.
Okay.
That-
All right.
A new number 1, just in.
New number 1
In stock. Have
stock.
product.
Have the product.
Available to buy.
Absolutely.
Step 2, ratings and reviews and content.
Step
Yeah.
Step 3, budget. Send those
support.
customers to buy that available product.
That's right, because I can't tell you
love
how often I will build out a plan, we will push it live, and we see
Oh, we're out of stock.
we're out of stock. So there you go. Like, you have a horrible shopper experience, or
And you're spending
or
money
nothing is happening. Yes.
generating demand for a supply that does not exist.
That's exactly right. And like when you have a search investment, it is supposed to be I'm blanking
Inventory
on the
aware.
Thank you.
Yeah.
That was the exact
I'm
term
with
I
you.
was looking
I got
for.
it. Yeah.
It should be inventory aware. So if it's not available, it's not in stock, then you're not going to be spending against that.
Right.
Yeah.
But still, like, you are wasting time. And it's a really big deal, especially for smaller mid-tier suppliers who maybe they have 6 weeks to start generating sales in store. They just got their chance to be on the mod, and you want to be in front of everyone,
So
driving
true.
that awareness, driving that conversion. And if you aren't in stock and you can't even promote your product,
Bad
like,
start.
you're
Bad
just
start.
dead. Yeah.
The road is omni-channel, as you said. This is not just e-com, and those first few weeks of being on mod matter so much for what's next. In food and consumables, it's absolutely critical. In GM, it definitely matters. Certainly the end of season, how you sell through, starts mattering a lot in GM. But that food and consumables first impression is the, make it or break it for a year or two for expansion. And the e-commerce side of telling that story and informing customers about your products went from a weird thing where people are questioning, why, Merritt, are you out there caring about what's happening online, to absolutely foundational. We had a touch base with a merchant this past week talking through the business overall, and at least half of it was spent discussing omni-channel, what's happening online, improvements, tactics, talking about some images that have gotten a lot better, some reviews that have really improved, because it matters.
Yeah. I mean, if you go into a meeting with your merchant and you have ratings and reviews below 3, like, that's going to be a conversation. And I can tell you, your experience online, that's a very easy thing for them to pull up during the meeting and start questioning you on. So you don't want to be in the position where you're sitting in the chair and you know that it looks awful. It's a horrible experience. And it's probably not going to.
We haven't really tried yet.
Yes. Yeah.
So
That gets awkward pretty quickly.
It does.
So a little bit of a diversion, at one point it was store and Walmart.com. Those two things still exist, but now we have OGP, online grocery pickup, online grocery delivery. How has that changed the game in terms of omni-channel?
Well, significantly. And I feel like the name of OGP also changes. Now I think we're pickup and delivery.
Yeah.
And instead of the OGP.
I'm a slow adapter.
It's hard
I'm a
to
slow
keep up
adapter.
with. No. So that significantly changed the game. I mean, first of all, your shopper has a different mindset when they're thinking about grocery and what they would come to the store and feel comfortable picking up versus maybe what they would feel comfortable shipping through the mail.
Right.
And so you've also opened up a whole like much larger basket. It's not just going to be consumables where they feel comfortable having toilet paper, cleaning products, trash
Right.
bags shipped to their house. But now you have a whole grocery list that they will add to cart.
Well, and it also really takes advantage of Walmart's assets. They
Yes.
have 4,700 plus stores, 600 some odd clubs.
That's right.
Use them as fulfillment centers, and better if we don't have to ship it to you on FedEx or UPS. And who orders their bread?
It is such a competitive advantage.
Yeah.
And so this could be a whole other podcast about like the reporting and shopper
We'll bring
behavior.
you back. We'll bring
We're
you back.
coming soon.
bring you back.
New
Yeah.
podcast on shopper behavior coming soon.
That's right. So when OPD was launched, you not only see like the adoption and people feeling more comfortable buying groceries through online, but then you also start to see the reporting shifts where what was going through 4-channel or through the mail previously, now Walmart's able to fulfill through the store. And even if they're delivering from the store, it's only, 90% of the population lives within 10 miles. So then you're only having to take something 10 miles versus from an FC in LA
Right.
across to North Carolina.
Right.
Yeah.
So
That's an exciting bit with the data in Walmart Illuminate because now you have perfect visibility to ship from store,
yeah,
which in the past used to show up as a in-store sale. But the reality is ship from store is someone buying online.
that's
And
right.
so that matters as you analyze where inventory needs to be to support your replenishment manager as a supplier.
So earlier when we were talking about like how interesting it is, and when I see that someone has 1 to 2% of online sales, like kind of my thought process, really what I'm thinking is they have no idea because you don't have visibility to the OPD sales that are rolled into brick and mortar. And more often than not, I see it be a pretty significant percent of their sales once we do get that visibility. So I had a client last week that went from thinking they had 1.7% of their total sales for e-com and just learned that it's closer to 18.
Oh, wow.
So it's a big deal, and that influences.
Just moving the decimal point over
yeah, just a little bit.
on your e-commerce.
And that
Take a moment to like
X100.
digest that.
Yeah.
If you think you're one, maybe you're 17.
Yes, you
instead
could
of
be
17.
17.
Oh, man.
And that should influence every conversation you're having with your merchant. And that's what makes it an omni conversation, because now you have 20% of your sales that are starting online. And so how does the shelf work for you? Not only as a brick and mortar shelf for the shopper, but when it's fulfilled outside of that. And so now you're acting as a fulfillment center off of that shelf. And so is your assortment right? Are you selling profitable items for that type of fulfillment? Are you promoting the items that you should be to help offset any pick costs and fulfillment? So,
And now your price gap. It's not just the stores next to your store. It's online.
that's right.
The whole world.
Man, we got a journey. The Omni-Channel
Omni
road.
journey
All right, so just to recap, we start in stock.
in stock.
Have the product
Have the
available
product.
for purchase.
Yes.
Second, ratings and reviews and content. Tell the story, both from others like you and the professional angle of your product. And 3, have a budget so that you are actually found
That's
when
right.
someone's looking online.
That's probably a good place to. We're starting to run out of time. That's a good place to wrap. Of what is budget, right? So we've got brands that get their first item in, right, and they want to drive that one item that's in store and online. We've
Yeah.
got brands that maybe launch with 5 to 10, and then we have really established brands.
Yeah.
So just
Help us plan that.
think through a little bit, like what are the high points of strategy around some of those different scenarios.
So I get pushed on this all the time. Like clients want me to be able to just give them a magic number, and there's not one because it is so category and item specific. If you have an item that's a super like niche, maybe it's an organic face scrub. Like you're probably not going to want to spend the dollars to be on the homepage because 100% of shoppers are not going to want your face scrub.
Right.
But if you're something like toilet paper that everyone's going to use, it's much more relevant for you to spend more money and be in those high traffic areas.
I have an alarming update, though.
Tell me.
Because I worked in consumables for about 10 years, and household penetration on toilet paper is about 98.5%.
Which has always troubled me. Where does the
Who
other
are those
1.5%
Who is the 1.5 here, people?
Yeah.
But just about everybody. I'm with you, but
Yes.
I just wanted to get that off my chest.
Okay, thank
carrying
you.
that burden.
I'll never think of toilet paper the same. Yeah. And then you also have to think about the competitive nature of your category. So, if you have if you're in a category where you have 2 or 3 really established suppliers that are spending tens of millions of dollars, like you're not going to be able to match that investment level. So that's why it's hard for me to throw out a number. I can tell you, different numbers on managed service and where you get certain reporting things that I recommend, but
for the smaller player competing in a category that has 2 brands that are 70-80% market share, there's still tactics they can take.
absolutely.
Keyword search.
Yes, you can be
SPA.
showing up. That's right. Like that's where the strategy comes in based on your budget. Where are we going to get the most bang for our buck? And
the main number is having a budget.
Yes.
I kind of like how you talked about Sam's Club, because what they did is they tested, iterated, iterated. And I've seen the most success for the small guys test and iterate.
Right.
Yeah.
You're going to find out what works. Put more money where that money came back to you, and don't put money where it disappeared.
That's right. And it's going to take time to build up your relevancy. And so you have to have some patience for that. And, after 2 or 3 weeks, I start looking at the reporting to optimize. And I just tell clients, like, be prepared because it does take time. And a lot of people like to optimize toward ROAS, and that's not my thing. So,
But active engagement's required. And I love hey, maybe you think you're 1%, but you should probably think about online sales as 20% of your business and pay attention to it as if it's 20% of your business and likely a large percentage of growth.
Yeah. And if it's not that, it should be. And how do you get it there?
Yeah. I can tell you how. First, you got to be in stock.
That's right.
Have that product.
Number 1.
Ratings,
Content
reviews, content, and have a budget. Let's go. Love it.
All right, let's we're going to do our lightning round with you. Let's get to know Meritt Brothers a little bit better. All right, what's on your reading list? Whether you're reading it now or you're planning to, what do you?
So, A Gentleman in Moscow. My dad gave me that for Christmas.
Let's go,
Nice.
Dad.
Yeah, he's a librarian, so I only get books.
You got the best. You
Yeah.
got the best book option.
Yeah.
All right, tell us about what you feel is your biggest win in retail.
Building an e-com team.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, when I can't tell you how many meetings I sat in and people thought it was a joke, like, why would you have a head count to do that? And so I knew that there was an opportunity. I don't know how to describe it to people. I just knew that we needed to be doing something there. And I had this goal of how much I wanted to sell. And I got laughed at, like literally laughed at.
And how long did it take you to sell equal to what a NAM was selling through brick and mortar? Like what year was that accomplished?
It was probably year 4.
Are you thinking of Clorox, your experience there, or where was this when you got to build it?
So I got to build it at Clorox, yes.
They're pretty good online. Merritt,
I'm pretty proud of them.
well done.
Yeah.
That's awesome. All right, what do you like to do for fun?
Oh, man. I like to go out on the trails around here. I love to eat, hang out with my family. I go on bike rides. that's pretty much what I have.
It's very Bentonville.
I love it.
I know, as I was saying that, I'm like, but we really do have great trails.
We really do.
do.
We have a lot of great things.
Yeah.
All right, and then this is my favorite question: who would star you in a movie about you?
Okay, listen. So I don't watch movies, as we've established.
Okay.
My dad is a librarian, so I
There you
mainly
go.
just read.
Star you in a book.
Who would picture you? Yeah. Who do you want? Whose face is on the cover of the book about you?
I I'm trying to think of brunette actresses, and so I'm gonna go Sandra Bullock because
Oh, that's perfect. That's so
Okay.
great. Oh, I love that. That's awesome. All right. Thank you so much, Merritt. This has been
Thank
such a
you.
good conversation.
good. I hope it was helpful.
It absolutely was. All right.
Super helpful. And before we go, you want to tell the people a little bit about Meritt
Yes,
Brothers.
yes.
Omni-Channel Solutions.
MB Omni Solutions.
MB.
Oh, sure. So I really help suppliers and vendors of all sizes, like those that are just wanting to set up in marketplace, all the way to established brands that are really working through like more strategic issues and figuring out org structure, roles and responsibilities, WMC contracts, pretty much runs the gamut. And so, like I mentioned earlier, I started on the marketing side and then on the sales side. So I really approach every problem with like that combined experience.
Yeah.
It's not just about the marketing. It's how does it all work together to build your business.
And I've walked through a couple of those projects with you, and I would highly recommend anybody that has questions, concerns, needs strategy. Meritt Brothers.
Oh, yeah.
Thank you.
Great team. And we'll link you in the show notes for sure.
All right.
Thank you so much for joining us.
Thank you.
And thanks everybody for listening. Feel free to subscribe. We'll be coming out with 2 episodes a month. Join us for happy hour if you're local in Northwest Arkansas, the 3rd Thursday of every month at the Natural State Brewery. And feel free to send us your questions, topic options, suggestions for interviews, either through LinkedIn, through the show notes, through comments. And we look forward to seeing you next time.
Right.
Charles?
Take care.